It is finally that time again. Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to the Daytona International Speedway as we continue on Speed Weeks here, heading towards the Season 4 Duracell Cup Series Daytona 500. Tonight is the first step of qualifying for the Great American Race, as this is pole day. Qualifying, we're going to set the field at least for the front row. We will also set the lineups for the upcoming duels. And we're going to know at least two drivers from the non-charter group that are going to lock themselves into the 500 on speed. We'll get to all that in just a moment, as it's a 15-minute practice session, or qualifying session I should say here, for these drivers. And then the second group will go out there. There's a total of 62 drivers that are trying to qualify their way into the Great American Race. We're going to try and see if we can go through the field here of drivers that are out there on track. Not the best of camera angles there. That's Cole Deaver out there in the 08, second season for the driver out of S3 Motorsports. Had several times last season where we thought he was going to be able to go to victory lane along with a lot, if my tongue can actually say what my brain is thinking, with a lot of other rookies that had managed to go to victory lane, but came up short. However, Deaver finished out the season in the 27th position in the standings, which, if you think about it, technically, with not making the playoffs and a lot of drivers leapfrogging him, is not actually that bad. He had 3 top 5s and 9 top 10s during the course of his rookie season. He finished 5th in the rookie points. There's Dylan Young in the 2. 3-time winner from last season. Dylan Young made the playoffs last year as well. Only advanced into the round of 12 before he was eliminated. Finished 9th overall in the season standings. Dylan Young was also the only driver out of Young Motorsports to go to victory lane, but it's a 4-car team this year, adding on rookie RJ Bishop, who I believe is in this qualifying session. Adam Samsel, one of a number of rookies that are in the field this season. Samsel driving for, I believe that is a Second Chance Motorsports. Might be Rubin Fenders Motorsports. I can't remember both of those teams, who's got which particular driver. But Samsel, in his first start as a rookie, trying to qualify into the Great American Race. Got a group up here. That's Jessica Shelton in the 02. For S3 Motorsports, winless last season, but very good at the super speedways, as she's gonna see where she can qualify her Chevrolet Camaro with the Kana-chan TV sponsorship this season. For those that are wrestling fans, you may be aware of it, but those that don't, it's a wrestler Asuka, also known as Kana. That's her actual name. She has a YouTube channel, and that's what's on the sponsorship for that 02 this season. Seth Cole in the Liberty University Flat Out Racing Network Chevrolet out of the newly formed Pigeon Racing. Backmarker Motorsports dissolved at the end of the season, and so Seth Cole moved over to Pigeon Racing. Cole Baker, who was a teammate over there, he's moved over to his own team of DCW Racing, now in the 11 Toyota Camry, sponsored by Dollar General. And there's one of his new teammates right behind him, the 20 of William Goss, a non-chartered team. Also in this group, you've got the 23. That's Adam Garcia, who's the only driver since the very first Duracell race that has not gone to victory lane in his career. He moves over from a new number from 12 to 23, still with Young Motorsports. Right now, fastest on the board with a 43.997. And there is former champion Ryan Acosta, now over in a Dodge Challenger with Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Credit One Bank coming on board as the primary sponsor for him here during the Daytona Speed Weeks. See Seth Cole peeling off to pit road. Going to see if they can do an adjustment, make a little bit more speed in that machine. Saw Adam Samsel a moment ago. Here's his rookie teammate, the number 16 of Joshua Torres. Sponsored by Domino's Pizza. And behind him is Ryan Brommer, former winner in the series, of course, a runner-up back in Season 2 for the championship. Ryan Brommer last season finished 16th in the points ran well during the regular season, but then when both Bulldog Motorsports cars got to the playoffs, they both got eliminated in the first round. New sponsorship for Bulldog Motorsports, all three of their cars with Bang Energy as their primary sponsors. Different flavors, but all running the same similar sponsor this season. As we look at Michael Rood in the 00, the DeWalt Tools 00, I believe this is an entry. Yeah, this is an entry out of Second Chance Motorsports. The other two that I was trying to remember, the 16 and the 13, they're actually out of Rubbing Fenders Racing. So I'll have to try and remember that. As behind him, Charles Sanford there in the 03. Sanford, a two-time winner last year. After heading into Season 3 with no career wins, he took his first career checkered flag back at ISM Speedway, and then he followed it up with another victory later on at Boston International during the playoffs. Right now, fastest on track is Dylan Poteet in the 31. Coming back, Dylan Poteet was back in Season 1 driving for Michael Norman Motorsports. Was a winner that year as well. I think he was a two-time winner. He's now back with the Pigeon Racing organization. Got a couple of drivers actually have returned from Season 1. We'll see another of them back in the second qualifying session. As there's the Tanamieto in the number 36 Pennzoil Ford Mustang out of No Limits Racing. Tanamieto, one of the Brazilians that are in the field here this season. I believe his other teammate is here in the field as well. We'll see him in a moment. There's our season finale winner, Kyle Matthews, who won at Homestead Miami Speedway to cap off Season 3. Kyle Matthews last year, though, bit of a struggling season as he finished the year out 30th in the point standings. And there is RJ Bishop. We mentioned that Young Motorsports is a four-car team this year, bringing on rookie in the 12. Bishop with a sponsorship of Lucas Motor Oil on his machine, and we've got a tremendous rookie class this year, but a lot of them are obviously non-chartered drivers. Johnny Gardner there in the NutriChomps number 14 Dodge Challenger. Looks very similar to his ride last season, except different manufacturer. Last year he was in a Camry. This year he is in a Challenger. Johnny Gardner last season finished out the year in the 34th position in points, did not find victory lane, so certainly looking for a bounce back season. Another team that went through a manufacturer change between Season 3 and Season 4 was Michael Norman Motorsports, moving from Toyota Camrys to Ford Mustangs. Michael Norman, the team owner there, with Coors Light, a new sponsorship on his number 18. Norman, of course, last season was a two-time winner, winning back-to-back races at the Charlotte Roval and Indianapolis during the playoffs. However, Michael Norman was not fortunate enough to make the playoffs. Otherwise, he may have been up in the Final Four when we got to Homestead, but he finished the season out 21st in the overall standings. Right behind him, Mitchell Collins with the Mobil 1 colors on his Ford Mustang this season out of Young Motorsports. Collins still looking for his first win since all the way back in Season 1, if I recall correctly, back at Kansas Speedway. So it's been a long winless streak for that driver. Behind him, we've seen the 24 many seasons, and every season it seems to be a rookie. Back in Season 1, it was Ryan Butcher. Season 2 was Alexander Rowe. Season 3, it was Nathan Hudson. But what did all three of those drivers have in common? They all found victory lane in the 24. It was Pikes Peak for Alexander Rowe, it was Michigan for Nathan Hudson, and it was Pensacola Road Course for Ryan Butcher. Arthur Xavier now takes over the driving duties of the 24 car out of Northeast Motorsports. Sponsor of Hertz has come back as the primary for that team. Xavier, however, is a non-chartered driver, so he'll every week have to try and race his way in to the field. Laura Chung in the number 27. This is an entry out of Mills Motorsports. Jose Mills, the driver out of Boa, decided to formulate his own two-car team, and so Laura Chung getting an opportunity here in the U.S. Rangers Ford Mustang. Right behind her is going to be Trey Wright, the Boy Scouts of America number 28 Ford Mustang. Trey Wright dead last in the points last season, so certainly looking to bounce back from that. And that is the, right there, second entry out of Mills Motorsports. Justin Dearborn in the Carolina Crown Ford Mustang. There's the second Brazilian, Pedro Lucas, the Snap-on Tools Ford Mustang out of No Limits Motorsports. Or No Limits Racing, I'm sorry. And look and see if there's other drivers here we haven't documented. There's Carson Gum. Carson Gum finished 7th in the point standings last season, was a 2-time winner in the Duracell Cup Series, including, comes into this season, the defending Daytona 500 winner. Matt Haas in the number 8 out of Haas Racing, back with a little bit of a new look there, a new number configuration on the side and roof. Matt Haas last season went to victory lane at Kentucky, finished out the year 13th in points, made the playoffs for the first time in his career. There's the other Bulldog Motorsports car that's in this particular qualifying session. Zach Rogers in the 6th, the bright blue and pink Rainbow Unicorn flavored Bang Energy, sponsoring him for the season. Jack Mitchell, who picked up his first career win last year at the Darlington Raceway, made the playoffs for the first time, finished 11th in the point standings, back with the familiar green and black McDonald's paint scheme on his Chevrolet out of JM01 Motorsports. Jacob Thibodeau in the 33 had a tremendous rookie season last year. Even though he didn't make it into the playoffs, he was a 2-time winner. Those 2 wins were his only 2 top 5s, though. So in his second full-time season with Northeast Motorsports, sponsored by Steak and Shake as well as Circuit City, trying to make sure that he has a good year. And of course, with running last year, he is locked into the Daytona 500 field. Question is, where will he qualify there? Tristan Allen in the number 15. That's another entry out of DCW Racing, the Dex Imaging Toyota Camry. And we may have covered everybody that is in this qualifying session. Just going to quickly cycle through again to double check. If that is the case, we can then start focusing on who is going to be qualifying for the Daytona 500 pole. 12 drivers will move on, 10 drivers rather, will move on to the second round of qualifying, along with the other 10 drivers from the second qualifying session. And right now, the driver on point to definitely move in is Jessica Shelton, who I think may be sitting on pit road. She already feels very comfortable that she's moving on. Cole Baker right now is moving on to the next round as things stand. Will Goss, Dylan Poteet, Adam Garcia, Natan Amiedo, Kyle Matthews, RJ Bishop, Ryan Acosta, and Charles Sanford right now would be the 10 drivers moving on to try and qualify for the pole. Very important for a couple of these guys in terms of non-charter machines. Will Goss, Dylan Poteet, Natan Amiedo, RJ Bishop. All are not locked into the 500. And what they're trying to do is move on to the next round and be one of the 2 highest non-playoff drivers that may not necessarily qualify for the pole, but in qualifying, because 2 drivers are going to lock themselves into the 500 for the non-chartered drivers tonight on speed. And then the other drivers will have to race their way into the 500 via the duels. 36 drivers are locked in through charters. 2 drivers will be locked in as non-charters through speed, and then the other 4 spots will be determined by the duels. Now, we are going to be bringing this up during the second qualifying session as well. The second round 1 qualifying session, I should say. Chris Dollerton has returned to the series, and he is the Season 1 Duracell Cup Series champion. So with that being said, he is going to have a championship provisional for 5 races this season. So if he fails to make the 500, he can fall back on that. And he can make the 500 through a championship provisional, which means that only 3 drivers would race their way into the 500 through the upcoming duels. So, bit of a complicated system, but obviously we'll try and keep you guys aware of it during the course of this Speed Weeks, as we're looking at Charles Sanford, because he is the guy on the bubble spot, 10th on the running order right now. It's like 3 of the S3 Motorsports cars would be moving on to the second round of qualifying, so giving them good odds to maybe snatch away the pole. So really, we're going to be determining, we're going to be confirming 4 spots in the 500 here tonight. Of course, the front row for the Great American Race, which cannot change unless the 2 drivers scheduled for the front row end up having to go to backup cars during the dual races. And then we'll also be knowing 2 drivers of the non-chartered group that will be locked into the 500 on speed. You see right there the difference of the draft, as Charles Sanford had nobody with him, and it was Kyle Matthews, Dylan Young, I believe that was Michael Norman leading that group. They just blew by Charles Sanford, as the time you can see is ticking away, 10 seconds left, and the top 10 has not changed. And so I think Sanford might be safe to transfer into the second round of qualifying. Another 30 seconds there for drivers to finish up their laps, but it's looking like it's going to be Shelton, Baker, Goss, Poteet, Garcia, Amiedo, Matthews, Bishop, who I think I didn't mention that RJ Bishop was a non-chartered driver. Ryan Acosta and Charles Sanford, they are going to be moving on to the second round of qualifying to try and get the pole or the outside of the front row. And there you go. Session is complete. Let's take a look and see the rest of these drivers. A lot of these other drivers are going to be comprising up where they'll be in the respective duels later on this week. You had Michael Rood in 11th, Matt Haas 12th, Adam Samsel 13th, Johnny Gardner in 14th, 15th was Laura Chung, Dylan Young, Carson Gum, Jacob Thibodeau, Trey Wright, Michael Norman completed the top 20, with Mitchell Collins, Arthur Xavier, Tristan Allen, Cole Deaver, Pedro Lucas, top 25, and the rest of the drivers were Ryan Brommer, Zach Rogers, Justin Dearborn, Joshua Torres, Seth Cole, and Jack Mitchell. So those drivers are all going to have to try and improve their position from 11th on down through the dual races. Top 10 are moving on to the next round of qualifying, but we still have our second group for our first round of qualifying to get through, so don't go anywhere. We continue to try and find out who's going to be the front row for the Great American Race right after this. So as we get set for the second group in the first round of qualifying, another 31 drivers here in this one. 10 drivers will move on to the second and final round of qualifying, leaving us 20 drivers in total that'll try and get the first 2 slots of the Daytona 500 front row. I don't know what it is here about pit road. You can see there's a lot of stuttering there. They're fine when they get out on track, but there's something about pit road that has the frames drop, and I don't understand it. First car out is going to be Charles Belding. How about this guy? Charles Belding last season in his rookie year for then Backmarker Motorsports, now over with Pigeon Racing. So basically just swap teams, but his ride looks almost exactly the same. Charles Belding was one of a number of rookies that went to victory lane last season at the Rockingham, North Carolina Speedway. Belding coming into this year trying to have a even better second full-time season. He finished 7th in the rookie standings last year and was 29th in points, so despite his victory, a lot of his other finishes just did not pan out the way that he hoped. But we'll see how he does this year in the Krispy Kreme Chevrolet. He will undoubtedly be the car in the field that will make me the most hungriest. However, maybe the car behind him as well. Man, I could go for some Chick-fil-A. That's Harrison Ponder in the number 79. Ponder, the second entry for Otter Island Motorsports, which for the last 3 seasons has been a single car team with Benny Watson. Now expanding to 2 cars, and Harrison Ponder, of course, with the very familiar Chick-fil-A logo on the hood of his Toyota Camry. We mentioned back in the first Division first round of qualifying about Michael Norman Motorsports moving over to Ford's. This is an entry out of their camp. Dawson Wise in the number 81. Austin Colano last season was the champion as far as the Rookie of the Year. He did not return this season. This is his car, and so we'll see if Dawson Wise maybe can be Rookie of the Year in back-to-back seasons for Michael Norman Motorsports. Matter of fact, Michael Norman Motorsports has had 2 years in a row where they've had the Rookie of the Year. Cody Lamas was the Rookie of the Year back in Season 2. New look, new colors for Ryan Butcher in the number 78. Butcher looking for his first win since Season 2 as he had a 0 in the win column the entirety of Season 3. Ryan Butcher finished out last year 25th in the standings. And there is Second Chance Motorsports driver Quentin Moore in the number 66, the Eris Toyota Camry. Quentin Moore, one of 3 drivers this season for the team. We already saw Michael Rood. For a moment there, I was blanking out. Michael Rood in the 00. We'll see his other teammate here in just a moment in this division of qualifying, as there is Cody Lamas. We mentioned him, the Season 2 Rookie of the Year, a 4-time winner, 2 wins in his rookie season in Season 2, 2 wins last season, made the playoffs, made it into the Final Four at Homestead Miami Speedway, but came up 8 points short, finished 3rd overall in the championship standings. Austin LaPlante to his inside there. A couple of Jimmy Johnson lovers battling it out side by side here. Right now, LaPlante is 19th on the charts with Lamas 28th, so obviously neither one of them really benefiting from draft if they're running side by side. LaPlante last season was a 2-time winner. His first win was at Kansas. His second win was one of the 2 races we ran at the Chili Bowl. He made it into the playoffs, finished 10th in the overall standings. Rob Evans in the number 65 out of Evans Gardner Motorsports with the Mittler Brothers Machine Tools Dodge Challenger. It's his first full-time season, but this is kind of an affiliate team to Joanna Atwood Motorsports. He and Joshua Osborne, who we'll see in a moment as well, got to get a lot of their equipment out of fellow Dodge Challenger team Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Rob Evans and Johnny Gardner, of course, very good friends, and so that's how the connection came about. Former Daytona 500 winner Carter Friesen back in the number 37. Elgato primary sponsor yet again on his Chevrolet. Friesen last year was a 3-time winner in the Duracell Cup Series. 2 of those wins took place during the playoffs. He won the first race of the playoffs at Richmond. Later on, he ended up winning the second race of round 2 at Lime Rock. And so Carter Friesen definitely had a great year, a career year for him. He finished in the 6th position in the overall standings and looking to continue that momentum here in Season 4. Right behind him, Keith Batson also had a career year, picking up his 2nd career victory, made it into the playoffs for the first time ever, and finished out the year 12th in the overall standings. Nathan's Hot Dogs. Boy, there's a lot of cars in this field that are making me hungry. New colors for Jesse Turner as he'll be bringing Old Spice swagger on board for the season on his number 47 out of Lake Effect Autosport. Turner last season was a winner in the regular season finale at Auto Club Speedway. However, he finished out the year in the 24th position in points. This is a driver that's made it into the playoffs for, I think it's now 2 of the last 3 seasons, so certainly looking to bounce back here. Another guy that's looking to bounce back, Matthew Rodriguez. Still looking for his first win since Season 1 at the Arizona Speedway. Matthew Rodriguez with the Flat Out Racing Network colors on his Chevrolet as we've had a spin out of turn 4. Not sure if we can find out who it was. I think it might have been James Qualls in the 54 machine. One of our final 4 from last year. A lot of damage there on the hood of his Challenger. We'll see if he can bring that to pit road. Maybe break out a backup car. He is not currently in a transfer spot to move on to the next round of qualifying, so they're going to have a lot of work to do here in these remaining 8 minutes. Qualls last season was a winner at Pukaka. That got him into the playoffs. Consistency moved him into the Final 4, but he did not have the best of finishing results. Finished 4th in the standings, 28 points back from the championship. Going back to Matthew Rodriguez, he was 36th in the points last season. As trying to get there to the 45 of Nathan Norman. There he is. Drove the 41 Toyota Camry last season to victory lane at Bristol for Joanna Atwood Motorsports, but now moves to the number 45 with Burger King as his primary sponsor. Nathan Norman last year finished 3rd in the overall rookie point standings. He was not high enough in the standings for his Bristol win to count towards a playoff slot. He finished 26th overall in the season standings. We saw Jesse Turner just moments ago. There's his teammate Phil Parker returning for his second full-time season. Last year was 4th in the rookie points. Parker also finished 28th in the overall standings, back again with the Old Spice colors on his 74 machine. But you'll notice no rookie stripes because last year was his rookie season. We talked about Harrison Ponder. There's his team owner, Benny Watson, out of Otter Island Motorsports, that number 75 machine. Benny Watson last season found victory lane at Talladega Super Speedway, but that was during the playoffs. He finished the season out in the 17th position in points. Remember, a good first half of last year, he was the points leader, but he could just never find victory lane to lock up a playoff spot. Maybe things will be different here in Season 4. There's the 4th entry out of DCW Racing, Dylan Schwallenberg, in the number 46 Advanced Autoports Toyota Camry. Saw his teammates Will Goss, Tristan Allen, and Cole Baker all back in the in the first round of qualifying, the first division of the first round of qualifying. There's the 77 of Patrick Smith back with Auto Junction Racing. He's going to have a couple of new sponsorships here. Well, I shouldn't say new sponsorship, but a couple of different sponsorships this year. Last year, he basically ran Ghost Recon for most of the year. He's now got Call of Duty Modern Warfare on board his number 77 as well during the course of the 4th season of Duracell competition. Patrick Smith finished runner-up in the Rookie of the Year standings, and he also finished 22nd in the overall points. How about the new colors for Jose Mills, the most winningest driver in the Duracell Cup Series, as he finished out last year runner-up to his teammate in the championship points. 7 points back is where he was. Obviously, Jose Mills trying to continue on to hold the record for most wins in the Duracell Cup Series. He was a 2-time winner last year. There is the 3rd entry out of Second Chance Motorsports, Samet Ozkan in the number 70 machine, sponsored by Subway on his Toyota Camry, here in his first full-time season. And there he is. There's the champ, the defending champion of the series, Jordan Lopez. Lopez last season had 1 win, 7 top 5s, 14 top 10s, and of course went on to win the championship at Homestead Miami Speedway. So we'll see. We talk about the slump that a lot of championship drivers have after taking and hoisting that championship trophy the following year. Right now, Jordan Lopez poised to move on to the next round as he is currently 6th on the speed charts. William Brock back with Northeast Motorsports, the Cinevis Chevrolet Camaro. William Brock won last year at Arizona Speedway, which actually completed the sweep for all of the Northeast Motorsports drivers to have at least visited victory lane once. However, William Brock finished 18th in the point standings as well, so he was very consistent. Technically, that is second highest in the points of drivers that did not make it into the playoff grid. We're looking here at the rookie out of KEB Racing Enterprises, Mike Wiley with the Rush Truck Center's Ford Mustang. And right behind him, another rookie in the 44 Dodge Challenger, the Z's Custom Diecast Dodge of Zachary Stoltz. These two drivers have to qualify their way into the Daytona 500 either through speed or through the upcoming duels later on this week, as do these guys right here. The number 69 Bang Energy Dodge of Taylor Gerardis, the 3rd entry out of Bulldog Motorsports, and right behind him, Joshua Osborne, the Mopar Dodge Challenger out of Evans Gardner Motorsports. Daniel Voiles, another driver that fits that bill, as he is in the number 63. That is another entry out of KB Racing Enterprises. And there's James Qualls to his inside, brought out the backup car. He's up to 19th on the charts with 3 minutes remaining. Got a ways to go to be able to try and qualify his way into the second round, to try and start on the pole for the Great American Race, or the outside of the front row. There is another former champion. So all 3 former champions will be in the series this season. Ryan Acosta, the Season 2 champion. We just mentioned Jordan Lopez, the defending champion. And here's the very first Duracell Cup Series champion, Chris Dollarton, in the number 83 out of Michael Norman Motorsports. Now, we mentioned that in the first round of, what do I want to call it? The first session of the first round, I guess is what we'll call it, that Dollarton has 5 championship provisionals to fall back on. Right now, he is 10th on the board. So he could try and qualify his way into the 500 on speed. If he does that, there's going to be a driver that's going to breathe a sigh of relief to be able to utilize the dual to race their way into the 500. As Vince Almriego moving on to his own team of Western Motorsports after Backmarker Motorsports dissolved last season. Career year, though, for Vince Almriego last season, picking up his first career win. That was back at Pocono. He made it into the playoffs for the first time in his career, almost advanced to the Final Four. He finished 5th in last year's overall standings. Brad Stover, the second entry now out of Haas Racing, the Snickers Dark Toyota Camry. So Matt Haas will have somebody, if he makes it into the main event races, to draft with here in the 500. Right now, Stouffer, though, is 20th on the board. And we may have covered everybody. I'm just going to cycle through just to make sure. Want to make sure everybody gets a little bit of TV time here, because some will be moving into the 500, and we'll see them later on this week, and some may not. Ooh, wow. That was weird. Like some kind of a glitch there, a graphics glitch. I don't know what's going on with Pit Road. As we're looking at Levi McIntyre, I did not do him yet in the number 99 Sprite Ginger Ford Mustang this season for Blue Oval Automotive. Levi McIntyre last year went to victory lane in the longest race of the season, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, made it into the playoffs, finished 8th in the overall standings. I don't know if we covered everybody or not. I'm kind of afraid to go back and look on Pit Road to find out with what just happened there with that kind of glitch thing. I think there may be nobody else that we have to cover. So let's take a look at the drivers right now that are in line to move on. Dawson Wise, right now the fastest. Quentin Moore, second. Ryan Butcher, third. Harrison Ponder, who we're looking at right there, is fourth. Charles Belding in fifth. Cody Lamas and Austin LaPlante, sixth and seventh. Jordan Lopez in 8th. 9th right now would be Joshua Osborne, and Chris Dollerton, the former champion, right now on the bubble spot in the 83. There he is. 30 seconds, or actually make that 45 seconds left for someone to try and dislodge Dollerton from moving on to the next round of qualifying. There's Osborne just ahead of him. Right now he is in a transfer spot, and the fastest car in this session with a 44.607, the rookie out of Michael Norman Motorsports, Dawson Wise. Quentin Moore not that far behind, 2 1,000s with a 44.609. And there's a lot of non-chartered drivers moving on to the next round if this stays the way it is. Wise, Moore, Ponder, as well as Dollerton and Osborne. Waiting for the session to be complete. 20 seconds left. And nothing has changed in the top 10, so I do believe that those are going to be your 10 drivers that are going to be moving on. 2 drivers out of the Michael Norman Motorsports stable. And that's it. Session complete. Actually, no, make that 3 drivers out of Michael Norman Motorsports if you add in the 84 of Cody Lamas.
To your cars.
So there's the 10 that move on. The rest will have to rely on the duel coming up, the second duel, including Rodriguez, Ozcon, Orman, Schwallenberg, Gerdes, Turner, Almriego, Smith, Brock, Qualls, Stouffer, Watson, Voiles, Mills, Parker, McIntyre, Evans, Friesen, Batson, Stoltz, and Wiley. So we now know the 10 drivers that transfer from the first session, the 10 drivers that transfer from the second session. It's time to put together the front row for the Great American Race and also find out the 2 drivers, the 2 non-charter drivers that are moving into the 500 through speed. The final round of qualifying is coming up right after this. Alright, so we now know the 10 drivers that transferred in from round 1, session 1 we'll call it, of round 1, and session 2 of round 1 also. And now those 20 drivers are going to be battling it out here to see who is going to be the pole sitter and the outside of the front row driver for the Great American Race Daytona 500, and of course the respective pole sitters for the upcoming duels. And we got drivers rolling off of pit road already. The defending champ's going to be one of the first ones out there, Jordan Lopez in the 38 car. Lopez was 8th quickest in the second session of round 1. And I'm not really sure why, but all of a sudden my frames have seemed to get really good with drivers coming off of pit road. Maybe it was because there were 40 some odd cars on pit road there for the first 2 sessions. We'll see if maybe it's gotten fixed. These drivers only have 10 minutes though in this session. They had about 15 minutes back in the first 2 sessions of round 1. Only 10 minutes to go out there and put down lap times. And of course, really you want to leave with a group or at least go out there with another driver to be able to get some draft laps down. But Jordan Lopez about to begin his first lap. Cody Lamas out there as well in the 84. Cody was 6th fastest in the second session. There's rookie Joshua Osborne, who was 9th fastest in the first session. Dylan Poteet in the 31. He was 4th fastest in the first session. 2-time winner last season, Austin LaPlante, was 7th fastest in the second session of round 1. Another rookie in Quentin Moore. I mean, remember, there are there's one driver of the non-chartered drivers that's going to lock himself into the 500 through speed. And right now, those drivers battling for the spot is Will Goss, Dylan Poteet, Natan Amiedo, RJ Bishop, Dawson Wise, Quentin Moore, Harrison Ponder, Joshua Osborne, and former champion Chris Dollarton. And Will Goss is going to have some drafting help here off the back of Cody Lamas. Be watching for that 20 car to maybe jump up there into one of those spots to lock himself into the Great American Race. Right now, everybody is kind of hoping that maybe that Chris Dollarton gets the fastest speed of the non-chartered drivers. And the reason for that is if he is locked in, he does not have to use one of his championship provisionals to get into the Daytona 500 starting grid. If he does use a championship provisional, then 2 drivers will make it in one of the duels, 1 driver will make it in one of the other ones. We'll have 1 driver locked in on time, and 1 slot will go to Chris Dollarton, obviously using his past championship provisionals. I want to see what lap Will Goss is going to have here. I will be shocked if it's not top of the board. Harrison Ponder almost was top of the board there, and 45.534 is what Will Goss has to beat. 46.083, even in the draft of Cody Lamas. I'm shocked. Got some drivers here that might be able to lay down some good lap times. Cole Baker leading Ryan Acosta, former champion, and Jessica Shelton, who was the fastest of the first session of round 1. Baker was 2nd fastest in the first session. Ryan Acosta was 9th fastest of the first session of round 1. RJ Bishop trying to get a little draft there off of fellow rookie Joshua Osborne. Bishop was 8th fastest in the first session. And here's a group right here as well, as Harrison Ponder has jumped to the top of the board, 45.274. Got Natan Amiedo there, along with Kyle Matthews and Charles Belding. As Lopez back top of the board, he and Ponder must be drafting with each other. Oh, wow, it's a good group right here, actually. Got Ponder, Sanford, Lopez, Dawson Wise, and Quentin Moore. Be watching for that 66 to maybe get a lap time to the top of the board, as Ryan Acosta now up there. He's Shelton and Baker all in the 45.1s. And Acosta with a 45.101 now is thrown down the gauntlet with a little more than 5 minutes remaining. Let's see if either Moore or Dawson Wise are at the tail end of this lead group. Will they have something to say about it? Well, close. Quentin Moore jumped up to 3rd, which right now would put him in the spot to be locked in on speed of the non-charter drivers as this group catches up to Austin LaPlante. Look at the run they all got right there. I mean, they are turning some fast lap times. At top of the board, how about Adam Garcia in the 23? The only driver who took the start of the Daytona 500 back in Season 1, but has not taken a checkered flag since then. He's top of the board with rookie Joshua Osborne now up to 2nd and into the Daytona 500 on speed currently. And you got Ryan Acosta right here, tail end of this 4-car draft. Is he going to have something to maybe knock Garcia off the pole? Shelton makes a move underneath Baker. Can Acosta beat a 44.957? The only driver in the 44s right now, Garcia, and 45.457 there as Osborne, who just got a sniff of the draft, is up top of the board. 44.776. And what better way to make sure you're going to be into the 500 starting lineup than to start from the pole position? The entry out of Evans Gardner Motorsports just formed during the offseason, but the session's not over yet. Dylan Poteet, Ryan Butcher working together right now. Butcher 14th, Poteet 13th. Looking here at this group, wondering if there's something these guys can do, as Lopez right now still runs in second. I'd look at Austin LaPlante. He's going to get the draft off of these guys. That 48 car could be looking to put down a good lap, because this is almost the same situation that Osborne was with that group ahead of him when he laid down his 44 second lap time, which is now improved to a 44.631. I think LaPlante right now is the only guy that could challenge him. The question is, though, does he have the draft of the cars ahead of him? It's about 5 cars up in this group, and I think he's within the drafting distance. Let's see what he can do. Watch for that 48. He's going to be up in the top 5 at least here on this lap. Oh, he threw it away! LaPlante's on pit road. Why did he do that? He was going to go either top of the board or maybe at least a second, and he just threw away a perfectly good lap. We're looking here at Chris Dollerton, who just now jumped up to 14th place, as he's here with his teammate Cody Lamas. Will Goss there as well in the 20 car, and with Dollerton running 14th, he's going to have to rely on a championship provisional. But right there is the guy that's in line for the pole here for the Great American Race, and that is Joshua Osborne, who is set to make what would be his first career start in the Duracell Cup Series. Bishop's by himself. Matthews and Belding side by side. You got number drivers on pit road right now. Natan Amiedo is on pit road. LaPlante on pit road also. I think that might have been Cole Baker. No, that's Dawson Weissart that's hitting pit road right now. I don't see anybody that looks like they're in line to maybe be able to run a lap fast enough to beat him. And as soon as I say that, Osborne drops to 5th because Quentin Moore went top of the board. Lopez to 2nd. Harrison Ponder to 3rd. Charles Sanford to 4th. This group of 4 all of a sudden just ran up there in the 44.4s with about 2 minutes remaining, and they may not be done. They're single file again. So Quentin Moore jumps up to the pole and into the transfer spot on speed as Charles Sanford's coming to pit road in the 0-3. Watch for Lopez. Can Lopez jump up there top of the board this lap? Not quite. That group ran 44.9s that time. Ponder might be able to get the draft off of Ryan Butcher and Dylan Poteet here. Let's watch this lap. He's got Quentin Moore pushing him. He's got Butcher and Poteet just ahead that he might be able to get a sniff of draft. Right now, Harrison Ponder is lined up 3rd, which would not lock him into the 500. He needs to be ahead of Quentin Moore right now, and right now Moore is P1. Can Ponder out of Otter Island Motorsports, can he do something here? Everyone remains single file. He's still in the draft of Bishop. If he doesn't get it this lap, he might get it this next lap. He's within striking distance, and he hits a 44.413. That's not enough. Lopez top of the board, 44.242. He's on the pole now, but Quentin Moore, 2nd place, is still the transfer driver of the non-chartered machines, as he just hit a 44.390. So Lopez and Moore right now scheduled to be the front row. Quentin Moore trying out of Second Chance Motorsports to get himself into the Daytona 500 field. And right now Harrison Ponder is leading this lead group, which is not going to help him, as Lopez hits pit road, Poteet hits pit road. So this group now goes from 5 to 3. Slower lap time there for Harrison Ponder, and a lot of drivers on pit road feeling that their time is over. Oh boy, look at this group. Look at this group. A couple are peeling off the pit road, but what about Adam Garcia? He's going to have a big run. What's he got? 44.991, not enough. And I think session's going to come to a close. I don't think there's anybody else that's lined up well enough. Maybe Ryan Butcher here. They did. I think they are going to be allowed to complete this lap. Can Butcher have enough speed behind Ponder and Quentin Moore to challenge Lopez for the pole position, or at least get himself up there on the front row? Oh, he's going to lose his drafting help. Harrison Ponder and Quentin Moore to pit road. That's going to hurt his lap time. hits the line. It's faster than it was before. He's up to 13th with a 45.285, but I think that's it. Jordan Lopez feels he's got it in the bag. He's on pit road. Quentin Moore feels like he's got the second position. He's on pit road. And just coming up, maybe about 200 short, is going to be Harrison Ponder of locking himself into the field. As we got 25 seconds left, these guys out there trying a last-ditch effort. Dallerton up to 8th, but looks like he'll have to rely on a championship provisional to get into the 500 if he doesn't transfer through the duel that he's in. Ryan Acosta right up on the back bumper of Sanford, but I think that with 5 seconds to go, he's not going to make it back to the start-finish line. And I think the session's going to end right here, and it does. Which means the front row for the Great American Race currently, depending on what happens in the upcoming dual races, is going to be the defending champion Jordan Lopez on point alongside of rookie Quentin Moore, who has locked himself into the Daytona 500 on speed. Which means that Harrison Ponder, Joshua Osborne, guys that were up there top of the board for a moment here in the final round of qualifying, they're going to have to try and race their way into the 500 through the duels. Now, as things stand, Quentin Moore would be locked in on speed, and Chris Dallerton would get in via championship provisional, so I believe that means that only one driver will transfer into the 500 through the second dual race. 2 drivers will transfer in through the first one. And of course, for Lopez and Moore in those dual races, they have to keep their cars clean or else they forfeit their starting positions. They still will start in the race. Quentin Moore is locked in on time, but he's got to make sure he doesn't go to a backup car. Same for Lopez, and be starting at the rear of the field for the Great American Races. Right now, they are scheduled to lead us to the green to start out the season. But that's going to end off qualifying here tonight from Daytona. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. We have set the front row. We still have to set the rest of the Daytona 500 lineup, though, and that will be coming up very, very soon. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you guys next time for the dual races, and then, of course, the Great American Race Daytona 500 next on tap to kick off Season 4 of the Duracell Cup Series. But until then, I'm Seth Cole. You've been watching Production Answer 8, Offline Racing at its best. So long from Daytona.